Welcome to All In Uncensored with Ryan and Bryon, episode 16 today.
Episode 16. Today we have a special guest with us.
We're going to be bridging the gap with one Mr. Matt Means.
Oh boy.
Yeah, buddy.
How you doing today, Matt?
Wet. It's very wet outside.
It's a very February day.
Yeah, it's great to destage a place and try and keep your stuff dry. It's great.
And for those of you that don't know, Matt is part of the Jo Jensen Group with REMAX Northwest.
Correct.
Out of Gig Harbor, Washington. And so he's going to be giving us some insights into the real estate industry today. Sharing his truth.
Always. Whether you like it or not.
That's right.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us how you got started and all the things.
Okay, so started about 7.5 years ago. I worked in civil construction 28 years and just wore my body out, so needed to do something different. So got into real estate, did a little bit of land. My mom had already been doing it 25 years, so she had me do it on my own for a year. And first year I did 27 deals, so that was good enough that she left me alone and was able to show that I could produce and work well and self-motivate and everything. So then we partnered up and then took off from there. So typically we do 45, 50 deals a year. 5 of those 7 years. 1 year we did 83, 87. Last year was the worst year since 2008. We still did 32. So
good work.
Yeah.
So that was a good year, but we told everybody don't buy a house unless you have to because interest rates suck so bad.
Did you sell the only 32 houses last year?
Maybe.
Pretty darn close.
I hope not.
I think you and I first met when you first got going.
Yeah, we met within the first 3-4 months.
And you were cutting your teeth on some tough deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so
trial by fire.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, typically, if you look at active, pending, back to active, back on the market, you'll see 25% trend. And it stays true, 25, 30, 40. It really spikes in that. But we typically maybe have 1 or 2 deals that go bad a year. So we always realize that there's problems, but there's always a solution.
Always
and
a
not
solution.
To magnify it. So we try and we find out from somebody, a problem before we call our clients, we usually already have a solution. Yeah. So that way we're diffusing it and keeping it as emotionally level as possible, although I'm high energy, so that's pretty tough to do.
Well, also your construction background, because you and I have a similar background there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so like coming out of construction into a sales environment, you really had to like tone down the profanity.
Yeah, 5 words or less, and FU's one of those 5. It's my vocabulary really had to expand. It was crazy.
I know.
So that was
you
tough.
have to care for people.
Yeah, I do care for people,
I know you
but
do.
With the FU in it doesn't work out well. So that was really changing my whole vocabulary, my approach, because I'm high energy, so it's usually you hate me or you love me, and not much in between. So impressions are something I really had to work on to tone it down and try and be quiet, because we all 3 are big men as it is, over 6'2", so that is challenging for us to be nice and calming.
Yeah.
And that as is, so that it's nice because you have a soft voice. That you've actually helped me a lot too with.
Oh, thanks, man.
Trying to tone it down. You really have through the years, and we would always work on different transactions, have problem solutions, and work. And I loved it. And then as an environment changed, the interest rates spiked. I love that you left the company you did to service the clients, because that's what I always believe is best, is servicing the clients. So when the interest rate spike, I'm like, don't buy a house. Unless you have to buy or sell, you'll be in the same situation. It'll be higher interest rates. Now is the first time, December, where I changed my gears, like interest rates are going down. It is the time to buy, because we had such a terrible year last year in 23, so the worst since 2008, that now everyone's going to hit the market waiting for the interest rates to drop back down in the 5s, and then everyone's going to jump aboard. Then you'll be paying $80,000 more for the same house. So if you have not bought a house yet, my recommendation, Jo Jensen's recommendation, Kimber Parker's recommendation, our recommendation is get pre-qualified now. So when that house does pop up, you're ready to buy it now before interest rates drop, because is it cheaper to pay $80,000 more for a house or to refi a house? I mean, I'm not a lender. I'm not an expert.
I think it's cheaper to refinance.
I would say so.
Too. Yeah.
I would say 4 grand is cheaper than 80,000.
Yes.
I'm not very good at math, but that math makes much more sense to me when there's a zero missing.
Right.
And it's in the 1,000 marker. I'm just saying.
So it's interesting because you actually have two. You and I have collaborated as well with your team about how to get creative as well with real estate. So you have a lot of people with a ton of equity in their home selling. They're scared to purchase and they want to try to sell their home first, but we're finding creative ways to where they don't have to sell. They can buy the house, and then instead of having to pay for a refinance, they recast the loan with the equity from the sale of their home.
Yeah.
And we're finding a lot of really great value to that.
That has been really nice because instead of doing a bridge loan where traditionally they're real top heavy with fees, we've been able to transfer it over. You found it, a line of credit option that we're able to pull it. There's no prepayment penalties. So they find the perfect house. They move out. Then Joe and I come in and we look at the house and we see that, okay, this, and this needs to be done. If you want to get this money, it's vacant.
Yep.
We're going to stage it, leave something behind. We'll just vignette it, meaning we add color to it, to your existing things like that. We have over 800 square feet of staging materials just sitting in a barn. So,
oh, really? That's great.
Yeah, people don't
And
even
a
know.
bronzed French bulldog.
Yeah, that's the kicker. French bulldog.
He shows
for
up
the
on
open houses.
every open house.
Is that the guard dog?
It is, just to get a good reaction. People walking, whoa! It's like, yeah, look out for the dog. Little Frenchie's gonna get you.
I think one time he said, "Yeah, my dog died, so we decided to bronze him, and he comes with me to every open house." They
said, "Really?" I go, "No, not at all. Look at this face. I don't have a poker face. I cannot lie."
Dude, that was so funny. Yeah. So, how did you get the nickname Chatty Matty?
Oh gosh, so.
Do you really question that?
Not really, but
yeah.
I just want to hear the origin story. It's like, how did Wolverine get established?
Yeah, I think it was my sister's fault, who passed away last January. So rest in peace, Autumn. But I was 2.5. She was adopted from Korea. She didn't speak a lick of English. So everything I did and said, I was teaching her how to speak English. So it just continued on. And then we brought in, we sponsored families from Southeast Asia. My parents did a lot. I had 13 foster brothers, 2 foster sisters, adopted sister, and I was the youngest typically. So I always was outspoken. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that cool. was that.
We've hung out a few times. I love listening to you. Like, you've got so many good stories.
I have too many stories. I've been
like
told I need to write a book or a few. I was raised like the jerk. Like, I'm
not usually one to sit back and just listen because I like to chat too.
Uh-huh.
But you have some amazing stories that are just really fun to sit back and listen to.
Yeah. And because of that, I've experienced a lot of diversity, a lot of overcoming a lot of things throughout life. So problem solutions, it gets me absolutely because I take things personally. I always want to do great for my clients. So I really don't want to go to bed without any problems resolved. That's real tough to me. It eats on me. I know it eats on you. Yep. I know it eats on you. Well, so
we talk about this all the time on our podcast, having a servant's heart, and you definitely exemplify that. And that's the reason why you guys work so well together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We do what's best for the client. The money's just a byproduct.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. If you do good for others, karma's good to you.
Yep. So. And sometimes that means just walking away from something too.
Yep.
And like, hey, you know what? You're going to be better served by working with this person over here. You've had to make a couple of those tough calls. And
absolutely. Yep. Where we've outgrown each other and we're not listening to each other anymore. We don't believe that we're bringing a service or don't have time and it's not a priority. And then clients suffer because of that. The listing suffers because of that. Things like that where you just outgrow each other sometimes. And it ends amicably, but you've got to come to the point in time where, hey, we've outgrown each other. Your business is way outgrown what I do, my sphere, and that, and just continue to embrace people and continue to root for them and moving forward. So it's really a neat thing when you just see people grow in that and take your knowledge and your experience and go to that level and then take it even higher. It's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. So
what are a couple of the funniest things you've seen as a real estate agent in your experience?
The funniest things that I have seen as a realtor, walking into a house and hearing scuttering underneath the house.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And then I go, and then I look out the window and I see 3 people running away.
What?
People?
Yeah, people.
That's not what I expected.
It was people. Yeah, they were living underneath the house. They cut out all the copper wires.
Oh,
and
no.
all the plumbing and everything, and then they dug holes and like built a little area for themselves to live in underneath the house.
So is this a place that you were listing, or is this a place you
No,
were
it was
showing people?
I was showing a client of ours
No way.
a possible
Oh, really?
update, and yeah, it really needs some work. And luckily, he usually
like
buys
wiring.
something, waits 2 or 3 years, and then we'll relist it. But so I usually go in, scope it out, tell him the scope of work, and give him a generalities of even the cost, if it's going to waste his time or not before he comes in. So luckily, a
That's
lot of
crazy.
that flipping went around, so he wouldn't have to hang on so long to it. But yeah, so squatters not in the house, but under the house. That was pretty cool.
That's a different one.
So that was pretty wild. And then calling them in the bank, they didn't care. So what? We're not doing anything about it.
So back in 2008, when I think I've shared this story in like episode 2 or something, where I had my grand mal seizure and my wife and I lost everything due to medical bankruptcy. But one of the houses that we owned was on Pearl Street in Tacoma, and the tenants had left the home and it was just sitting vacant, and some squatters came in there. When we went in there to try to sell the house and looked at, they had like smeared human feces like all over the walls.
Oh, no.
The toilets were completely clogged. I mean, it was just literally a shit show.
Yeah.
Figuratively.
Yeah.
And literally.
And literally, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like,
That's disgusting.
Do people really do this? It's like, it was crazy. I mean, ultimately it went back to the bank and it was their problem, but I was like, I can't believe people actually do this stuff.
Oh my goodness. What was the worst for you as a loan officer?
The worst?
Yeah. Experience or weirdest or funniest?
I would say the worst was early in my career, not really knowing what to look out for and not being seasoned enough. And I remember a client that we were a few days away from closing, and something popped up in underwriting that they didn't catch the first time. We already had approval. They caught it the second time. And they had already moved out of their old house. They're moving out of state, into state. And
Holy smokes.
I really learned that you got to dot your I's and cross your T's on certain things. And that was a really hard one. I still do. I take my job very, very personally.
Yeah.
And that crushed me.
Mm-hmm.
You probably didn't sleep for a few nights, did you?
I definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Buying and selling a house is one of the top 5 most stressful things in life. So
And we have that
no wonder those
responsibility.
things, and you have the fiduciary responsibility. I just see the timelines of what needs to move where, and coming from construction project management makes it real easy. And then growing up, wanted to be an architect, so I know code and things like that. I've got 2 uncles and a stepdad that built homes too. So
Let's talk about that further. So what I have realized with you on the real estate end of things is your background in civil construction and engineering, like hands down, gives you a superior advantage in this market, because you can go into and understand like how permitting will work for various lots and development, or doing subdivisions and stuff like that. So can you speak to that a little bit?
yeah, it sucks because you do way more work for a lot less money, so
Right.
there is no experience in it. So the broker on the other side won't know anything about the listing or the property, whether buying or selling. And then the selling side, they don't want to deal with land because the commission's not there to deal with it. It used to be 5 and
Right.
10. It used to be 5%. Now it's 2.5%, 3% on each side. 4 to 6% max. You do a lot more work for land than you do, and it's a longer span of feasibility and everything else, and knowing who to send it to do that work, or doing it myself. The legwork in that, and they just love to have consultants in that down at planning and development at Pierce County. So it's challenging. City of Tacoma is great to work with, but Pierce County, it's a different animal. Lots of them have left and become consultants. So it's best to hire a consultant. I hate to say that, but it's the good old
But
people's.
you are able to advise like the people, like you have a listing coming up that we're going to be doing an open house, either Ryan or myself or both of us on Saturday with you, where you did some digging and found out that it could be considered a multifamily property.
Yeah, by condominiumizing it. So they wouldn't allow it. Northwest MLS would not allow it first, but then I looked up a couple other ones that had been listed as multifamily with ADUs, and I said, why can't I list this DADU, which is a detached accessory dwelling unit? And they said, well, because it doesn't have meters for the property, For water, sewer doesn't need it. For water, power, and natural gas, I go, yeah, but if I condominiumize it, have it written up, then we can do it. And I have a person,
share all that
an
stuff.
attorney that is able to write it up if that's the route they want to go. We've done it many times, thanks to my mom. My mom has lots of experience doing that. They go, oh yeah, then you can list as multifamily. So then we're able to move that direction because it's got a great little attached unit up above that would be great for Airbnb, and you can generate a lot of income revenue because a gorgeous view looking from the Black Hills all the way to the Olympics directly across the Fox Island and the UP. So
I think that's something really
nice
cool
piece.
that I know it's happening a lot in King County. You know, the bigger lots up there, they're allowing people to put ADUs in their backyard.
Yeah.
I hope that continues to grow because it'll help solve a lot of the housing issues right now.
Yeah, Tacoma's still doing studies
I
on
are
that and starting to allow some, but very restrictive. I mean, and then they passed a law in Olympia that's supposed to take effect 2025 that you can build anything as long as infrastructure will allow it within city limits. We're in such a housing crisis. That's the other reason why we're going to see a big boom in multiple office situations. We're still in a housing crisis. We still had 4 to 6% equity growth last year in homes in Pierce County, depending on what area you lived in, typical growth everywhere.
Despite the huge rates.
Yeah, besides the huge rates. And the reason is the difference between 2008 and now is no inventory. So we had more days on market because people had to swallow that pill. So average days on market were 40.
So I believe that I did read this. I believe it to be true. The amount of homes that were sold last year, the last time we had less was 1995. Our population now is 50% higher.
Yeah.
All these people that are preaching to their first-time homebuyer kids and nieces and nephews that, you know, now is not a good time to buy. Well, let's flip that script. Is now a good time to own? Is there ever a time in history where it's a bad time to own?
Right.
10 years from now, will it have been a good time to buy now?
Oh, absolutely.
It will be a great time to buy right now.
Yeah.
They are so worried that we're in this housing bubble, same as 2008. But like we just talked about, supply and demand, we are so far away. We're many, many years away from that equalizing.
Yeah.
And the big reason really does have a lot to do with 2008. The builders stopped building for a few years, and they're still not building at the pace that they were.
As they stopped last year. So I have 5 builders I work with, 1 built.
Yeah.
And it's currently building, and that's because it's a higher end home because that demographic, it doesn't matter because they're paying cash typically.
I want to say this. You and I talked about this on our car ride today. The government needs to step in and incentivize builders to build first-time home for lower-income homes for first-time home buyers. They need to. I don't know if they need to give them tax incentives, some kind of incentive to get them to build your 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 2-bath.
Like we had post World War II, like we had into the 50s. I mean, my house off 1712 South Washington Street was a HUD home. So that HUD program has gone away. Now they're just building multi-families, low income that you're renting from. You're not becoming a homeowner. When you rent, you're throwing that money away. When you buy that house, the very least is you're going to get that money back, typically within 3 years, not 5 years. Typically, you're going to get more money back. I owned my house 2007 to 2021. And let me see, I bought it for $420. I sold it for $865. More than doubled the money. And yet my mortgage was $2,200 when I bought it. I think $3,200 after I refied and remodeled, pulled money out to remodel it. So $3,200 a month, I saw all that and more back. So it makes sense to still own a house. Talk to your parents that were paying in the 70s and 80s.
18% interest.
18% interest, and they still are money ahead.
Speaking of makes sense to own a house, what would you, if a first-time home buyer is coming to you, or any home buyer for that means, they're coming to you and they ask you, what should I expect after closing? Home ownership beyond. Next 10 years, 5 years. What do I expect in home ownership? What is your advice?
Things
to look out for, things to...
Yeah, so we always recommend a home inspection. So that way it's like the blueprint that you get in your car manual. Okay, 30,000 miles, I got to do this. 60,000 miles, I got to do this. Got to change my oil every so often. You got to change the air filter in your furnace every so often. So we always recommend buyer or seller. Selling they go, hey, I'm going to do a pre-inspection. Well, they picked out that inspector. If they missed anything, they paid $425, $475. That's all that the inspector's liable for, so they may go after the homeowner. So we always recommend having a home inspection done by the buyers.
Yeah.
They pick it out. They get to see it. They get explained everything to go through it, so that way they see everything during your home ownership. Okay, the roof has 12 more years on. I expect that, so I'm going to budget for that, put that aside because I know the expenses there. The windows, they said lifetime, but vinyl windows, but they typically are saying
and get a home warranty for the like hot water tank and stuff like that too.
Yep, and you can look at home warranty options if you don't have the funds and it's going to pop up in the next 3 years. And we're in a multiple offer situation. There's solutions for everything. So home warranties are a good one too. Yeah. If you don't have the total funds, home warranties $400 to $500 out of pocket, if that, depending on what you're covering your appliances that too. So lots of good
I've actually
things.
had clients use their home warranty.
I have too.
Yeah, and it's worked.
Yeah, so have we.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's a little bit pulling teeth to get it approved, but it works.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they are an insurance company, and sometimes they aren't the best insurance companies, but they do work.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the most important things to get, especially for first-time home buyers that may not be thinking about budgeting for that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to have a rainy day fund. You don't want to take all your money and put it in for a down payment and or closing costs. You want to have some funds left over in case something happens, because you do own now.
Yeah, and everyone's saying 20% down, because you don't want to pay PMI. Now 5% down. The PMI is a lot less than it was 5-10 years ago. So there's other programs out there. That's what I love about you guys, is you guys have so many different programs, so many different options. So for so many different sorts in their lives, whether in the medical field, a police officer, a nurse. There's so many other programs out there. There's first-time buyer programs that I keep trying to get people to look at buying, because right now is the perfect time to do it, where a seller is more willing to give concessions to it because they've been on the market a little longer than what we're going to see in June, July, August to the end of the year. We're done with it. First-time buyers are missing their window right now. This is when they should be buying. In June, it'll be too late likely.
Yeah, not even necessarily first-time home buyers, all home buyers.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think you want to be in the market, this is a great time.
This is the time to be on it. So when that house does come on, you're ready to go. You're pre-qualified, because come June or July, it's going to be multiple offer situations.
I totally agree.
So May.
May's going to be
Let's
great.
be realistic.
May's going to be great.
Yeah, and we're only 3 months away.
Yeah, it's ramp-up time. It's go time.
Yeah, it is.
Time, like you think that's 3 months away. Oh, I've got time. You don't.
No.
Get your pre-approval process started now.
Yeah, and we
have
have
a lot of P's.
We have double-digit listings between now and then. So some people are definitely taking our advice.
That's great.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's because you guys consult and you are really trusted advisors. Like your group, your real estate group's amazing that way.
Yeah,
and I see that. Like your clients are lucky to have you guys.
Yeah, we're really lucky. Almost all our clients are repeat clients. So because trust is innate, so that makes it good that they know that we're just looking out for their best interests, and that's why we have repeat clientele.
Yeah,
because of that,
and generational referrals too.
Yeah. I think Mom last year had a 4th generation great granddaughter buy.
That is insane.
Her first house. We were like,
that's so
what?
Cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Met when a grandparents bought, and she was like this big, and then great grandparents, and then she came up and says, I knew one day I was going to buy my house from you. So knocked on the door, came in the office. My mom's like, I don't know her. And then funny. Heard the family, and then how big it was. There was like 15 homes we'd sold to the family, the parents, as they downsize, and their kids, and then a granddaughter, the oldest. So great granddaughter. So it was crazy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat.
I love
so you influence lives whether you know it or not. I mean, doing this job, and a thing that I heard that really stuck with me years ago was the 3 most influenceable jobs in society, and I just totally kiboshed that. But
influential,
who's the most influential jobs in a society?
Probably a teacher would be one.
Bingo.
Real estate agent.
Number 3.
Really?
Yeah. Number 2.
Lenders, no.
Police officers.
Good for them.
Yeah.
They get trashed on.
They get trashed so bad. Nobody wants to be a police officer. So when someone complains about it, I'm always, because my mom and I aren't about politics. We're about see a problem, fix the problem. Find a solution. Just don't complain about it. And so when we hear all this whining and everything about it, which it really is, I mean, it falls on the hands of them. Our mental health has been depleted. The United States, Washington State's like number 48 for the least amount of mental health. So that falls on the police department, that they're dealing with mental health more than anything.
They're wearing so many hats they can't functionally do the job they're paid to do.
Yeah.
Which is
that's a whole rabbit hole we could go down all on its own.
So we started because we saw that. So we started a scholarship program via my cousin who spent most of his life incarcerated. So the Joseph Gary Jensen Scholarship at University of Washington for those previously incarcerated with at least a 2-year degree, trying to get a degree in something to help society. And many of them became liaison officers. I think we've done 8 or 9 now. Many of them became liaison officers for different communities. We have one, Keith Whiteman, down in City Olympia. And he
is such a good guy.
Yeah, we've done many loans and transactions with him.
Yeah.
So he's like, so I got this job. I got on with Catholic Services, and I got to be a liaison officer. They paid for it, and so I go through, identify those in the homeless that just keep on going through the system, whether it's healthcare, fire department, ambulances, and that. But they want out, but they don't have the avenues to go out. So I go and I coach them, I help them, I get them the services. I'm there for them. I'm their mentor. Take a call 24/7. So that's what he does. Well, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, he calls me, he goes, Matt, you're not going to believe this. He goes, what? He goes, they just called me and they said that they're going to deputize me and make me a deputy in the city of Olympia. He goes, I said, so what'd you say? He says, I'll take your badge, but I won't take your gun because I'm going to shoot somebody. He says, yeah, I've like over 38 felonies in my life. I've been in and out more than anybody. He goes, and now I'm a police officer. Who would have thunk it? He goes, anything's possible. He said, so that was really cool. And he really influences a lot of lives and does really well and does really well. I think they bought and sold 3 properties with us now, and he's just buying into primary residence, sat in that a while, bought another residence, it's right nearby, and then has that one's going to build a house on the lot next to it because it's subdividable and bigger, and now with the new programs coming in.
You're taking somebody who was broken and in the system, they've rehabilitated, they've become a productive member of society, now they're building wealth through real estate.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Police officers in general, they get such a bad rap because they are so forefront in the media, and the media does such a terrible job of portraying really anything in a positive light.
Right.
So, and it only takes a bad few.
Yep.
You know, you have a bad few police officers, and they are just put in the limelight, and it gives all the rest of them a bad name. And then it's terrible.
You know what it
it's
kind of
so cool
reminds
to
me
hear
of?
a great story like that.
Well, it kind of reminds me of a sports analogy. Remember when Ron Artest jumped into the stands and went after that fan?
I do.
Well, he created a bad name for every NBA player. So after that, everybody said every NBA player is a thug. Yeah. So it was a stigma that one person created this stereotype for an entire cast of people.
Didn't he change his name after that to like
Meta Peace, World Meta Peace?
World Meta Peace. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, you know, one of my best friends is a corrections officer, and he deals with some of the worst people, and like, to see what he has to go through on a daily basis, and then you start involving all the politics and the media on top of that. His job is already hard. It's made 10 times harder with all these external pressures of all the other crap that goes with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel for him.
And it's the system. It's not the individuals. It's the system that needs to be changed.
Yeah.
The laws and guidelines and everything, and mental health especially, need to be there. The lack of housing needs to be there. I mean, these are our society crying out that there needs to be reform, needs to be change, and it's not an individual basis as much as it is on a systematic basis. So
I know, and it's like a double-edged sword, because in order to fund that stuff, we got to pay more taxes to do it.
Right.
But if people, so again, problem solution, right? We have this problem of needing to clean up the streets and get people the help that they need, but nobody's willing to pay for it.
Right. And there needs to be a basic level, a baseline.
Yeah.
So my Norwegian relatives, they came over here, and I asked them back in 2017, as we see Fight for 15, a minimum wage, a living wage. And I'm working the tunnel project, just finishing up there in Seattle. And so I was in park and rides. So it was from Husky Stadium, all these park and rides, up to Northgate Mall. And every night, all these cars would drive in out of state. They'd sleep in their cars. And so many of them, the average was somebody in their 50s or 60s, mostly men, maybe 1 in 12 or 15 would be a woman, usually middle-aged or older, lost their job, lost their 401k, lost their retirement, lost their house, lost their wife and kids, everything left them. Everybody left them. They said, at least I can come here. So why'd you come here? Welcome to Washington State, because I see you're out of state. Why'd you come here? I came here because $15 an hour, I can at least flip burgers and have my dignity back.
Wow.
So that was crazy. So the fight for 15 wasn't nationwide. So I asked my Norwegian relatives.
Yeah.
Right. I said, what do you think about this fight for 15? He goes, well, that's slave wages. I go, what do you mean? He goes, in Norway, we just pay a living wage so everybody can live outside of work. They don't allow more than 33 hours a week, and typically 7 months out of the year is all you work.
Yes.
And you have a house or a small flat in town and then a cheap house, a vacation place out of town, a family compound that they all put in for outside of it. So totally different way of living. I think the United States is the best country in the world. I'm not saying that, but we can learn a lot from everybody. And steal great ideas from different countries. So
taking collaboration to the next level.
yeah.
Worldwide collaboration.
Yeah.
World meta peace. So tell us about, so you're a dog guy and Ryan's a cat guy. Yeah.
I like dogs. I love dogs.
Dude, so Ryan has this picture of his cat like inside of a lampshade while it's lit and its like head is popping out and its feet are at the bottom. You need to bring that cat on the show, dude. That would be hilarious.
They're becoming the biggest nussance. So that was just 2 days ago. They've learned how to open my cupboards, and they like to try and get in there. And we had steak for dinner the other night. They opened the cupboard for the garbage, and the steak fat was on top. They ate all that.
Ah, jeez.
Oh, they're
built-in composting. That's good.
Mm-hmm. They're fun. I love dogs. I grew up with cats, and I wanted a cat for a long time. And a few months ago, my wife went for a walk, and she came home. She goes, I have a surprise for you. I was like, okay, cool. She goes, but you have to come on a walk. I was like, F words. Okay, I'll come on a walk. And her friend is still in the driveway, and her friend goes, oh, you're going to go get cats? I was like, let's go. I'm going for a walk. Come on. So we walked down the hills about a half mile away, and so I now know that we're going to get cats, or possibly. She goes, okay, there's one orange one and 3 black and white ones. If the orange one is a girl, we will definitely get cats, but we have to get 2 when I want 2 girls. I was like, oh, okay. So I go down, I pick up the orange one and flip it over. I was like, it's a girl. Looks like a fucking girl to me. And pick up the next cat. It's a girl. I was like, we're walking home. We get home, set up the meeting with the vet and for our 2 girl cats. And the vet's like, you've got 2 boys. And they are awesome. The black and white one, super mellow, super chill.
Yeah.
Fur is definitely thicker. The orange one is such a shithead.
Really?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
He's so
The orange ones are usually my favorite. Yeah, they're mysterious and fun, but good lovers too. They'll snuggle up with you and everything.
No,
so
not so much.
Not that one.
No.
Huh?
Unless he's in a box. Literally. If you are holding a cardboard box, he'll get in the box and let you hold him all day long. But if you're just holding him, oh no. I've got scratch marks everywhere.
Oh, jeez.
And you like Chessies.
Yeah, this is probably my last Chessie. I've had 3 Chesapeake Bay Retrievers, which are a large retriever. Ours are usually 95, 100 pounds. And curly coated, so I've had a dead grass, 2 dead grasses, which are blondes. And then now mine's a dark chocolate. But they call him a brown, and he has really curly brown hair. So
that's cool.
And just the thickest chest. He's just a meathead.
We should get your meathead with my meatheads.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
See what they do.
He actually loves other cats and dogs.
Really?
He's the biggest sweetheart. We have a 5-pound Maltese, and he rules the nest. So
nice.
Oh, and his name's Jesus Christ Superstar. So his head is as big as Jesus. So it was Jesus. My wife got him
my
in
God.
Florida and named him Jesus.
You have to get on your knees with Jesus.
And then moved up here. Every once in a while, yeah, when I'm picking, and he wears a diaper. He's been COVIDed, so he actually wears a diaper. So,
Oh no.
so yeah, so he has to have a diaper. I have to pick up his poop because you let him outside, he goes running away. But luckily, he never has diarrhea. So that's a good thing about Jesus.
We haven't let our cats outside yet.
The very first day we moved in, Jesus came over to Gig Harbor. Jesus took off.
Jesus
He
came
was
to
gone.
Gig
He was
Harbor?
down the road. Yeah. So I'm running down the road. Hey, Jesus, where you at? Jesus, have you seen Jesus? And the lady's looking at me like,
The second
our new
coming.
neighbor's very religious. I'm like, no, little white dog. No, not that
No,
Jesus. Little white dog.
Jesus is wearing diapers. You can't miss
He's
him.
got a little white diaper on. You definitely will
so
do
good.
a double take
Yeah,
with Jesus.
I thought I heard it all. That is so good.
Probably have a
Oh,
picture of him.
man.
I can show real quick.
That is too funny.
Yeah, it's freaking hilarious.
Show it to our viewers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
So that's my meathead Bjorn. Oh,
it's not gonna work.
sunlight. So much sunlight. Too much sunlight. Well, you guys can see.
Huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a big, thick meathead. And then, okay. Well, I'll wait because you guys won't be able to see Jesus, but he's a little white speck next to that big, huge brown dog.
Just have to have faith that he's there.
Yeah, just have faith. Yeah.
So, in closing, Matt, what would you say just to our audience about if they're sitting on the fence? I mean, I know we talked about it earlier. So, if they're sitting on the fence, you just say you need to be in the mindset to buy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you are going to be paying a lot more money come June, July, August.
Yep.
So traditionally you look at every year, even if you don't have kids, people traditionally buy May, June, July.
Yep.
May, June, July. That's when they always buy. That's when you get multiple offer situations. That's when the most equity growth happens. And then we have huge lack of inventory. So you're going to see even more that backlash from 23 happening, where there weren't many sales. Well, there traditionally is so many sales a year, and we're not seeing that 4,000 sales a month in Pierce County. We're down to 300-400.
Yeah.
So we're way down, less than 10%.
That's crazy.
So less than 10%. So we're starting to see it come up a little bit, the amount of sales, but we're nowhere near where we were.
Yeah.
or where we need to be.
Or where we need
The
to
thing
be.
is, I mean, you say where we need
For
to be.
healthy
I say where
market.
we need to be, but
Yeah.
someone who sells is then going to go buy again. Like the ultimate place that we need to be is new homes being built.
Yep. As the
How are we
population
gonna
grows.
do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Going to start a building company? Let's go.
Yeah. Background, civil engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
let's go.
lots of developments, but there's no money in it for me.
Yeah.
Unless I'm building, and I'm not doing that anymore.
You have any final thoughts, Ryan?
No, I'm just thankful that Matt's here and we got to
Yeah.
listen to him. And some of these stories again are just super fun.
Thank you.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus in a diaper running down the street.
yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks COVID. So
Yeah.
he didn't get to get properly changed. The veterinarians shut down and everything, so he couldn't get snipped. So he likes to mark himself everywhere. It's hilarious.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, all the platforms, Amazon.
Allinuncensored.com.
Yep, allinuncensored.com. Check us out on Facebook. And you know what today is, Ryan?
It's another great day.
Thanks for listening.